Good morning and welcome to the Limited Edition Leadership Show. My name is Paula Dunn and I'm a teenage resilient expert and cognitive scientist. Today I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Greg Miller. He's the founding principal of St. Luke's Catholic College located in Marsden Park, Sydney, and was established in 2016. Greg's been in education sector for over 30 years, so he's very well seasoned. Greg strongly believes in the power of the three-way partnership between parents, students and teachers. What intrigued me most about Greg, and the reason why I've invited him to be part of my show, was his passion for innovation and improving educational pedagogies. He is a forward-thinking leader that likes to think outside the box to ensure that his students are ready for the real world. Please give a warm welcome to Greg Miller. Hi Greg, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, Paula. Good to tune in and be with you this morning.
Pleasure. So, for those that aren't familiar with St. Luke's College, tell us a little bit about the college.
Well, we do call ourselves a college, but we like to think of ourselves more as a learning community that's designing and establishing a new normal for preschool to post-school. And what that does is it brings together the 5 single services of early learning, primary school, secondary school, out of our school care, which we reframe as our activities club, as well as, in beginning next year, we have a high needs studio for 30 students with moderate intellectual disabilities and low affective functioning. And those 5 services come together as the one Catholic learning community that we call preschool to post-school, and we're designing and establishing a new normal around that sort of service framework.
Great. And so it sounds like it's a really great one-stop shop for parents that just want to get their kids into a wonderful Catholic school, preschool leading all the way up to year 12. And of course, if there are some special needs there.
Yeah, absolutely. We would say that in the current context, especially of how the world's been recalibrated through coronavirus and really shaking everything to its core foundations and questioning that, we see this as the first 15 years of a 60 to 70 year curriculum where we keep learning, unlearning and relearning for the rapidly changing virtual world in which we live.
Yes, and so just following on from that comment, what's really unique about the school that you are preparing kids to be real world ready?
Well, we have a conversation about best practice, next practice equals new normal. So we don't throw out everything that's working in education. We don't throw out anything that's working, and we know that the core foundations of literacy and numeracy are essential, but we would see them as baseline foundations, not the end product of what we're trying to deliver. So obviously, whilst maintaining a core focus on those key foundational skills of literacy and numeracy, we very, very quickly bring to prominence the social skills and enterprise skills required for a changing world. So, and we express it as our 6 pillars of learning, and that language is immersed in what we do with 3-year-olds right through to soon to be 18-year-olds, because at the moment we're at year 9 with about 1,000 kids across the campus, and we will, when full, will be up to year 12, and whether we even call it year 12 or might be graduation class of a particular year. So we bring to prominence the social skills and enterprise skills. We introduce life coaches to meet and speak and learn with our students from year 7 onwards, with the idea being that there are multiple options with micro-credentialing, industry recognised frameworks that complement the higher school certificate. And so we start with the HSC, we don't finish with the HSC.
No, that's wonderful, because since I've started my business and my journey and working out what I would have liked to have had as a teenager, not waiting till I moved into leadership positions to actually acquire these types of skills, I'm really surprised and was quite impressed the fact that you have actually have life coaches at the school and are very quite progressive, considering that you are part of the Catholic education system, and that's where I grew up in as well. So I know that there's a really strong history and traditions and framework that's really difficult to crack and sort of put in your own flavour, so to speak. So how did you manage and to be able to be so progressive at a school, and why did you decide to spearhead such a progressive school?
Look, I suppose personal alignment or alignment of my personal vision for education was strong with the Catholic Education Diocese of Parramatta vision to transform education. So I suppose, it was really about aligning myself with an organisation that's innovative in its thinking and one that wishes to progress education in a way that truly and deeply honours the whole individual and doesn't just focus on academic data sets. We do obviously reflect on those because they do inform the practice of teaching and learning particular to the needs of our students, and we have those processes in place. However, we are looking beyond the curriculum, and beyond the curriculum means personalising it for each individual, and personalising it for each individual means, for example, we took from Year 7 onwards, we take an indicative hours approach to the curriculum, which then frees up time to implement a program we call, not a program, a course we called Life Design, which allows for passion projects on steroids, if you like, but also quite succinctly and precisely aligning individual talents and their SIM, their strengths, interests and motivations, with purposeful engagement of projects to make an impact, in their local community. So we're trying to seek out problems, ideate solutions to those problems, but make it purposeful and meaningful to where my individual talents and strengths and interests and motivations can make a real positive difference for those less fortunate than ourselves.
Mm-hmm. No, that's really fantastic. And so, just playing, if you could wave a wand, yes, what would be 3 things you would change about the education system right now?
How provocative can I be here? What would I change? I would change the HSC and its makeup. That's the first thing I do, because it's unfortunately that filters down a top-down approach where, because of the literacy-based approach to HSC, literacy becomes the be-all and end-all for far too many schools, far too often, at the exclusion of the individual and what strengths they can bring to any situation. Mm-hmm. I would make it policy that, that any policy education had to have the equal number of educators who are qualified and experienced and currently sitting in school settings. That number would have to equal the number of politicians and senior bureaucrats making those decisions. Because I think we need to, as a profession, we need to wrestle back what has been lost. And what has been lost is an acknowledgement of the expertise of teachers and leaders in settings and in educational systems that's far too often ignored when it comes to policy and future directions of education. And I suppose the example of that is the watering down of rhetoric from the Masters New South Wales Curriculum Review, where there were some fantastic recommendations that have been made that meet with the approval of the vast majority of teachers and educators, especially those thinking innovatively. But every time we hear something from people other than educators, there continues to be a watering and whittling down of the innovative approaches that were recommended by Masters, way back in February initially, and then confirmed in June, July of this year. And that, so recalibrate the HSC, get teachers and educators far more involved in policy, and I would say have to bring to prominence and bring to an equal prominence the general capabilities required for a changing world as expressed through a universal learner profile that means or as much, if not more, than a HSC and completely obliterates an ATAR, because it doesn't mean anything anymore. We know that because 4 years ago it only made a difference to 26% of students going into their course of choice in the following year. With direct entry arrangements, early entry arrangements, with far more innovative thinking, we don't need an ATAR, which the sad comment on that is it reduces 13 years of education to one number on one day, and that's not what we're about.
Yeah, it can be quite disheartening. Just flash back to when I was in Year 12. So if parents want to learn more about your school and where they can find you. So how can they find you if they want to learn more?
Yeah, look, we're very active on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. So if they just Google St Luke's Catholic College on our landing page, there's links to all those social media. We post 4 and 5 and 6 times a day where we believe that that's a great medium to convey the learning narrative of our setting from as early, our early learning centre gets as many posts as our Year 9 and Year 8 students currently. So I'd really invite you to engage and like our pages. That's probably the best place to go to get a feel. The website has information about our school, so I would encourage you to go there. But if you want a real feel for the story of St Luke's, find us on social media by just Googling St Luke's LinkedIn or YouTube or things like that, and things will come up.
Yeah, thank you. And actually, I have been to the school, and I must say I'm very impressed. It doesn't look like a Catholic school. It's very modern and high techy, and it's. I think it'd be a great place for kids to develop their innovation and creativity, definitely at that school. And obviously for me, whenever I'm working with schools, I'm always looking at the principal or the head of the leadership of a school, and you can tell that Greg is very passionate and sincere about what he's doing at the school, and you can definitely feel that that culture as you step into the school as well. So I think a lot of times parents are always concerned about where to send their children, and I think my advice would be always start from the top, see what the principal is doing and what he's saying, what they're saying, and whether that's being filtered down through the teachers and through the actual culture of the school. So you're definitely walking the talk, Greg, and you're very inspirational, and I really hope there are more principals like you out there, shaking the tree, making some progressive changes, allowing the students to sort of step into their own and create their own innovation. And I really appreciate you being on the show today.
No worries, Paula. And look, there are plenty of principals and plenty of schools out there shaking the foundations, and that number continues to grow. And at some point there'll be a tipping point, and we will transform education through the great work of educators with whom we must continue to place our trust, because they're the people who work with the student at their point in time and know their next steps. And that involves far different metrics than what we keep defaulting to in a public forum at the moment.
Yeah. No, it's I'm sure parents, especially now in lockdown and parents having to homeschool, I'm sure they have a newfound respect for their teachers and the amount of work behind the scenes that's currently going on. So maybe, they'll eat a bit more humble pie these days. But look, keep up the awesome work. And if there are any principals or educators watching this program today, and you are doing something innovative and creative at your school, I'd love to hear from you. And so we can have you and showcase all your fabulous work on the show as well. And so if you've liked today's show, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. My name is Paula Dunn, and have a wonderful day.